guys, what's up? This is JRP77 with JGN Games, and I'm going to be doing a single tutorial today. So we got a comment on our post, on our video, and I'm going to scale it up so that you guys can read it. And it said, "Thanks for the tips. A Unity Lighting's Technics tutorial would be great." Now, we love your guys' comments and stuff. I try to always respond to your comments. And so that's what I've decided I'm going to do today. So I have this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explain Unity Lighting. So I'm going to say Unity Lighting. Okay. So Unity Lighting, there's several different things. I'm just going to draw 4 circles. So before this, there are 3 things. There were standard, there were area, and there were light probes. Okay? Now standard lights, what I consider standard lights, you could consider area one of them. So I'm just going to put an arrow going back. So the standard lights are, and you can still use them, I'm just going to draw 3 circles. I'm going to say, so there's the directional light. Whoops. There's the point. And there's the spot. Now you could consider area as one of them because area is actually used in the standard lighting. Now the area light operates only in bake time. Baked enviros. So if you've baked your map, then these lights will work. Then the light probes, the light probes also only work in baked. So these also work in baked, etc. So then this is, I'm going to put up here, this is pre-Unity 5. Okay. But then came along Unity 5. And we got this whole new lighting. So I'm going to say Unity 5 lighting. Underline every word because I'm professional. And this brought in things called emissive materials. Now there were ways that you could download shaders that would emit stuff, but emissive materials basically allowed you to emit light from the UV map of an object. So emit light from object. And that's what, and you can control intensity, but there's also another thing that we can do with these. So I'm going to do, these also run in real time and in baked. So whether you've majors go real time, also the standard lights work. I'm going to combine these all. Say run in real time. So these run in real time and baked as well. But these, I'm sorry about my bad handwriting, guys. I have terrible handwriting, so I hope you guys can understand. So now let's give an example of what this is. So I'm going to close my comment, and I'm going to open up Unity. Should already be in a window. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to do examples. So from our previous tutorials, in our previous tutorials we made this artsy looking scene with blur and stuff like that. So I'm going to go into the scene, and I'm going to copy the pieces and the board by selecting both of these parent objects and hitting Command C, so that I don't capture all these effects that we had on there, but we capture the materials. Then I'm going to go out of that folder, hit Command New, and I'm going to paste these in. So now we have a perfectly good scene. Now I'm just going to rotate the camera to about right there, I guess. I'm going to move it up like that, and then rotate it down, and then rotate it like that. And then I'm going to click on the main camera and go up here to where it says Align to View under Game Object. And that aligns our object, and I actually need to zoom in a tad like that. Then if we go to Game Object, Align with View, we get our entire board on the screen. So now, what would we do now? So there's several types of lights. There's the light that Unity has built in. Now this has some common settings like shadows and direction, but Unity described the standard lights best. They said that directional acts as the sun, and directional, this is quoting a Unity tutorial that they put on their website. So directional, it does not matter where you put it in the scene. It will always light the same area. The only thing that matters is its rotation, and you can actually change shadows, and the skybox changes based on this light. So that's a cool feature. Now, there's also a few different other types of lights. There's point. Now, they described point as a light bulb, which relies on, I'm going to hit X to go into local view, which relies on position rather than rotation. And it acts as a light bulb. So I'm going to move this back to where it was. And then there's the spotlight. Now the spotlight is essentially just a flashlight. It requires both rotation and position in the scene to function. And this could look cool if you were doing something, I guess, artsy. Have a spotlight and then change the spot angle to where it was like this, and you could have some shadows and some bounce and such, and that looks cool. So I'm going to go back to directional, and I'm going to bump these settings back down to like 1, and I think it was 0.5. Now I'm just going to click on this and call it standard light, and then I'm just going to disable it for now. Now I'm going to add in the next type, which is an area light. Now I do not have much experience with this. I do not understand how these work. I'm just going to set this to 20 by 20. Set the intensity all the way up. And now this requires baking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it right here, and then I'm going to hit lighting. I'm going to turn the direct intensity all the way up, and I'm going to turn off continuous baking and hit build. Now I got to save the scene, so I'm just going to save it as test. Now it's going to bake, give us a light map. Now we don't have much, and it's almost annoying. I just can't figure out how this works. I can turn up ambient occlusion and stuff like that, but it just doesn't seem to work that well, and I can't figure out what is not making it not work. So the aerial light, that is a way. If you know how to use aerial lights, then that is, and I'm not the source to know about aerial lights. I do not know them very well. So I'm going to disable this aerial light, and then I'm going to go into the third type, which is light probes. So I'm going to go to light probe group. Now what it does is it makes a cube out of these like sphere-y thingies. Now what these sphere-y thingies are is it is actually managing our light. So I'm going to go into ISO view, and I'm going to go into side view, and I'm going to scale this to like put this right there. Now we need to move these top 4 vertices, or I guess you could call them vertices almost. Essentially all they are points. So I'm just going to take all these, and I'm going to select these top 4, go back into side view, and I'm going to move them up to about right there. Now you can scale it using these X and Y stuff, but I prefer using this. I'm actually going to scale like this so that we light our entire scene. Now I'm going to start, and now I'm going to go back to top view, and I'm going to scale not on the Y, on the Z. I'm so used to Blender. Blender, it's inverse. I'm going to set like 5.43, I guess. Now we need to start adding probes. So I'm actually probably going to time-lapse it, but I'm going to do this first row. I'm going to click on Add Probe, and then I'm going to move it over to the middle of this row, and move it up until it's even with. Now what I want to do is I want to get this to where it will stay even with our lines. So I'm going to move it up like that. Good. Now I'm going to go back to top view. I'm going to hit duplicate selected, and I'm going to move it across right here. And I might not actually have to time-lapse it now that I'm doing this method. And I'm going to duplicate selected and move it down here. And this is what I found works best with my scene. I'm not sure about your scene, but with this scene, it works pretty cool. I guess you could say pretty cool because I'm an American in America. So I'm going to move this right here. Duplicate selected, move it across. Duplicate selected, move it across. I can't tell you how happy I was when I saw the duplicate select tool, because it took me like 10-15 minutes to do all this, and I just did it right here. Now I'm going to make a center point. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to move it in towards the center. Now you can see all these lines connect. Now I'm going to put another point, duplicate this, move it up like this in the middle, so we have a square. Duplicate this point and move it across and down. We want to have a bunch of points. We are supposed to have a bunch of points. And then I'm going to duplicate this one, go across like that, duplicate selected, cross, and down. So now we have these, and then finally I'm just going to click on this one, duplicate out like that, right in the middle, right there. And I'm going to duplicate this point and move it over here, duplicate this point and move it down. It doesn't need to be that accurate, and then I'm going to take this point and move it over so we complete, I guess you could call it a prism. So now we have all these points on the top, but we still have these measly 4 vertices on the bottom. So I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to select each one of these vertices. And then I'm going to hit delete, or command delete. Then I'm going to select all by hitting this, and then duplicate this selected. Now I'm going to go into side view, and I'm going to take all these points on the top, and I'm going to move them down to right there. Now with our light probe group done, I'm going to bake by going to in here, and then keeping all that done. And now you can see we have a pretty sharp looking scene. We can actually change our settings without having to change the baking stuff. I can change reflection and how many times the reflection bounces. I can change the size of the bake. I have to rebake for that though. There. I can change all this stuff, and the scene actually looks pretty good, but it doesn't have shadows. And that is something that's a little bit, if I set this to direction specular and then I hit build, let's see what it says. Okay, if I hit non-directional, that might give us what I'm looking for. I'm going to clear the bake. And if we clear it, you can see it's just dark. Then if I hit build again, oh wow, that looks sharp. So we can actually start to make a sharp looking scene with no skybox. So that's the light probe group. But if you remember correctly, we have a 4th group, and that is these emissive materials. Again, excuse my terrible handwriting. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to disable the light probe group. But as you can see, we still have all this data. So I'm going to hit clear bake data. Then I'm going to go into game object, 3D object. Let's do a plane. Now let's go into our scene view and lift this point up. Just to where, and we want to rotate this actually to where we can see it. So I'm going to rotate this 60 degrees, 90 plus 45, I should know this. 135, negative 135. We want it to be slight enough to where that. If I go into front view, you might be able to see it better. There. So you can see, I want to be able to see this light. So I'm actually going to put this behind it. And we rotate it on the wrong axis because we want to be able to see it going when it's facing. Oh, crap. As usual. We want to see it when it is facing this way. And then I'm going to rotate this on the Y by 180. And let's see if we can find out. Let's find out the flat one is like. It's this Z. Okay, and then I'm just going to grab it, move it back. And I'm just going to rotate it because I'm a perfectionist. Now, still using local, so I'm going to hit X. I'm going to move it over right there. Now we actually want to light this scene by changing material. So I'm going to hit, I'm going to right click, then go to create material, and I'm just going to call it new material. Then I'm going to drag and drop this onto the plane. Then on this, I'm going to set the emission to 50. Now, it's real time, but real time sometimes doesn't work, so I'm just going to bake it. And I'm going to keep all these settings at max and doing all this stuff just so I can see. And then we hit build, and it should build. And as you can see, it actually lights our scene quite well. And we can, I think we can still change stuff. Can we? No, we can't. So I'm going to go to continuous baking. I highly do not suggest. Continuous baking is a great idea if you're making changes to your scene, but if we're doing something like this, it's always good to just have a build option. So I'm going to clear it and build it again because sometimes that works better. Good. So those are the 4 types of lights. There is the standard light, which lights our scene like the sun if we set it to directional. Then there's the area light, which I don't have any experience with whatsoever, but if we build it one more time just to be sure, it's nothing. I don't know how to use it, so I don't know what to do and use for an area light for. Then we have a light probe group, which relies on baking and actually relies on all of our specular stuff, and we can adjust this in our editor, how reflective stuff is, how many times it bounces back, and that works. And then finally we have our magical plane, which I'm going to clear our build so that you can see it. I'm going to re-enable it. Oh, gosh. And it's going to show you, it's got that big white sphere thingy. Build. And it lights our scene. Those are the 4 types of lighting. Hope you guys like this tutorial. If you have, I'm going to be doing a Q&A section next Friday about all your questions from our game asset creation tutorial. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, post them in the comments below on this video or in any of our other tutorial videos. So yeah guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.